welcome to episode number 24 of He Said, She Said, a relationship podcast. I am Sarah.
I'm tired.
Hi, tired. I am Sarah.
I'm Luke.
And we are married with kids. We're married. We're married with kids.
We're married.
And we like to sit down when we can. It used to be every week. But we like to talk about parenting, relationships, life, adult things, sometimes TV shows, and we like to answer questions from listeners like you. We don't have a question this week, so listeners like you, send us a question. You can email us at hesaidshesaiddpodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and lots of different podcast avenues. So reach out and listen and write us questions. If maybe you don't have a relationship or parenting question, maybe you have a query into our lives. You can ask us. We don't care. You
were about to say aquarium. It's like, maybe you have an aquarium.
We don't know anything.
Had a question about undersea life.
We don't know anything about aquariums, so that could be tricky. But anyway, we are going to just dive right in.
Did anyone feed the cat?
I fed the cat.
Okay.
Earlier tonight. Exciting
She's
stuff.
Literally like standing up, pawing at the door.
She's like, what are you guys doing? Why are you on the sunroom without me?
Feel left out, humans.
I just want to bug you and put my butt in your face and sit on the chair. That's what she's been doing lately, every night.
Give her a bath.
Yeah.
We've been saying that for like a year.
Yeah, probably. So anyway, what's new with you, husband of mine?
Well.
Should we tell them what we're going to talk about tonight? We didn't really... or we just want to wait. We'll make it a surprise.
Doesn't matter.
We'll get there.
Nothing, really. It's been just a busy couple of weeks, and I'm going to be super happy when my head hits pillow this evening.
Yeah. You had a late hockey game last night.
And Tuesday.
And Tuesday night.
And then Wednesday I stayed up too late watching The Wire. I'm almost done with season 2.
I did that Tuesday night when you were at hockey.
You've been watching The Wire?
No, I watched Master of None with Aziz Ansari, and I love him. And it's a really good program. It's so great. But I couldn't stop watching. I started the second season, and it starts in Italy. So
Is
I was
that a
like,
half-hour show?
Yeah. So it just like sucks you in, and then it's over.
Well, I have Sean and Yogi up my ass about watching Rick and Morty.
Oh, I was out there for like 2 seconds of that. They yelled at us. Not nice. I'm like, no, I want to watch Glow. It's amazing. We're also watching Glow.
Yeah, it's good.
We've been weaseling a lot of TV. My Leah Remini show about Scientology came back, so I got that. I have that to watch now. So, well, I had a really exciting evening. So, Luke was
taking Nebby to her mom.
Right, taking Nebby to her mom. So they had left about 20 minutes before this, and Sydney and I had some errands to run. Sydney is our almost 2-year-old. She only took a 1 hour long nap today. She usually takes like a 2.5 hour nap. She was a little bit of a loose cannon this evening, but she was okay. So we're going to run errands, and side note, most people don't know where we live, so it's fine. I mean, the people we know who listen know, but anyway, I don't typically lock our door because with a toddler and all the crap you have to bring along with a toddler, and I'm usually not gone very long. Well, I decided to lock the door tonight because I was afraid Luke would get home before me and yell at me for not locking it.
I would probably say, hey, can you please lock the door? I won't yell.
I know, but it makes me feel bad. Anyway.
You should lock your door, especially when you tell the world on a podcast.
No, I shouldn't lock our door because I locked us out of the house without the car keys. I tried to break into our home. We're pretty secure. Couldn't get in. The kitchen windows in our sunroom, we have these windows that overlook our sunroom. They're locked. The front door, not just the front door. I don't know if it was locked or not. The screen door was locked, so I couldn't get in that way. Any other windows that may have been a possibility were either up too high or not wide enough to fit my voluptuous curves through.
And I was about a half an hour into a 2 hour round trip, so I was unable to help.
But it was okay because it was a really gorgeous evening out, and the people who we rent our home, and the owner's kids actually live up the street here in town. So I was like, okay, it's a long shot. Maybe they have a spare key. So I walked up to their house. They're out of town. I saw another neighborhood neighbor, and she's like, yeah, they're out of town this week. I was like, oh, well, it's fine. It's nice out. We just played. So I would like to pat myself on the back that Sydney's almost 2. This is the first time I've done this. And she wasn't inside the house, because that's like a common thing when people have babies. It happens a lot, I guess. I was terrified when she was a baby that I would accidentally do this. So at least it waited a couple years.
It's even worse now because she would run around.
I know. I'd be terrified. She would hurt herself. She was a baby. She'd just be sitting still. Anyway.
You would break the window.
Oh, I totally would. Yeah. If she would have been in the house, there would have been a broken window. Probably not.
What?
I mean, what would I even use? You have stuff. There's a lead pipe in the garage.
Yeah, there's rocks.
We're like Clue. It was Sara in the sunroom with the lead pipe.
Right.
I killed the window. But anyway, that was my exciting story for the evening. Besides that, we had a really fun, boring Wednesday night this week. Do you remember what we did? We had dinner as a family.
We played Super Nintendo.
We went to the park.
Oh, yeah,
That was really fun. All of us. And then after Sydney went to bed, we showed Nevi Super Mario World.
Oh, and Sydney learned the F word.
Oh, right. That was pretty funny. That was the same day, wasn't it?
Fox is the word we're talking about. However, her pronunciation, a little off.
She goes, hi, fuck.
It's pretty adorable.
She also calls pizza like, I can't even remember. I took a video of it today. It's a P sound, but it's definitely not pizza. She likes it. She was like, Mo. Aww. It was adorable. So yeah, I mean, just a boring, typical, trying to think of anything else exciting happened. We had a cold, everyone, all at once. The house looked like a tornado went through it because everyone was sick all at once. So that was nice. Being sick all at once?
No, that, like, nobody cared to clean or anything, so we were kind of, like, relaxing a lot.
I will say that was kind of nice. It was nice that it wasn't the waterfall sickness where, like, one person's sick and then someone else is sick.
We knocked it all out.
Yeah, that was... I mean, we're still both a little sniffly.
I'll do my best not to snort into the microphone.
It's okay. Well, so this topic we're going to discuss tonight is something that I've actually just been thinking about a lot personally in our lives lately. So I thought, hey, why not throw it out there and see what we can find some talking points on. And that topic is parenting, expectation versus reality, because there's only so much you can try and imagine about becoming a parent and what it'll be like, and then there's actually doing it, and 9 times out of 10 it's very different than what you would imagine. So I turned to trusty old Facebook and did a little crowdsourcing I just asked people. I was like, what were the biggest things?
It's called UGC in the business.
But they don't, we're not talking to them about the business.
Hey, come on. I worked at a newspaper.
User-generated content.
Oh,
I know what it means.
I was going to make a joke how I worked at a big newspaper. Well, I worked at a not big newspaper.
Medium-sized newspaper.
6 or 7 years, but then I worked at a big newspaper for 3 weeks.
Not even that. I don't think it was 2.
No, I think I tried to make it shorter, but I needed to train the new person.
Right.
Anyway, that's a good job. Not really.
It wasn't for you, though.
No.
You were very bored.
But, like, just good, like...
atmosphere.
This is way off the subject. Great atmosphere, like... And they were up for, like, anyone's ideas. Like, here I am, this peon, like, temp who doesn't know anything. And then if I had an idea, they were like, that's awesome. Yeah, do that. And I'm like, really? And my name's, my name's a byline still on some stuff.
That's like the millennial, like, workforce.
Yeah.
That's a big thing.
But they're also, like, the characters and their stories and everything. Like, the different people who work there is really cool. And... shit, I lost it. I was going to say something.
You're talking about...
Oh, no, the millennial thing. This is way off subject, but like their online reporters are called...
Contributors?
No. All media journalists.
Oh, right.
So what that means is back in the day when places actually paid people and all that stuff, and there were unions. I don't know if they ever had unions, but basically,
I don't know.
Before like giant conglomerates, like there was a sports reporter and this reporter,
right.
that reporter. Now it's like you are the all media journalist. You might write for the paper, you might write for the website, you might write for YouTube video, you might write for Instagram, and it's like you're all over the place. So everyone has to be like a jack of all trades now, and
right.
pretty much every industry is like that now.
Pretty much.
Anyway, that's my derailment for the day.
Nice. Anyway, so I got some user-generated content. Now, I did use my personal Facebook because we haven't cracked the Facebook he said, she said page yet. Like, it doesn't have a whole lot of steam. So go on, if you haven't already.
Let's be honest. Facebook changed their algorithm, so if you want anybody to see your shit, you have to pay.
Do you know what's funny is, you know how it shows you ads? You can, like, only you can see this. So it says we have a $30 credit to try. I think they are, like, trying to lure us in.
Ooh.
I know.
Well, let's use it.
Maybe we will. I don't know. Maybe we'll wait till this posts.
I'm telling you, you get one. They're like drug dealers.
Yeah.
At first, you get like all sorts of people seeing your stuff, and they're like, "Cool, well, this one's really great. I'm going to pay to boost it."
Yeah.
And then you're like, "Oh, awesome! We reached 890 people."
Well, yeah.
And then the next week, you're like, "Cool, how many of these people stick around? Or how many?" And then you're like, "Pew."
Well, I mean, I know from experience in my professional life, because I do use Facebook for my what I do for a living.
Life.
If you spend a lot of money, if you spend like $500, it'll reach like 50, 60, 70, 80,000 people. But that doesn't mean they're going to like your page, and it doesn't mean it's worth it in our context of this podcast, because we're doing this for free.
And let's face it, it's social media, so we got to put like a boobs and butts on there to get anyone's attention.
Or like clickbait. You'll never guess what this couple did with their children on Wednesday. Click to find out. They went to the park. Anyway.
By the way, 3 of you guessed correctly. Proved us wrong.
So I went to Facebook and I got so many amazing comments. Responses. That's a better word. Thank you, honey. Thank you for those of you who listen and we know personally who commented. I really appreciate it.
Are we supposed to say their names? I don't know if we should.
No one said either way, but I did say we will keep things anonymous, so we're not going to say people's names. However, if you listen,
say male, female.
If you listen to the podcast,
mom, dad,
and you're friends with me, you're going to see the thread, and you might be able to put things together. But obviously, those people don't mind because they put it out there. But we're not going to use
protect your anonymity,
right? We're being confidential because anonymous means there's no names attached anywhere. Technically, your name is on my Facebook page. Anyway, is the spider moved? He just got up.
No, it was like a...
There was a spider in the window behind me earlier, and it was on the outside. And
it's still there.
Luke hopped up, and I thought it had come into the inside. Anyway, sorry, I got a little confused and derailed myself. Whenever you get up, it confuses me.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I had to get pillows for
my
bum.
Recenter here. Thank you for your feedback. I think a lot of people want to share their opinions and stories, but sometimes there's not a context to do that, and I feel like we gave some people the opportunity to do that today. So thank you. We're going to try to cover as much as we can, and I kind of honed some notes from all of that and then injected some of our own experiences. Luke hasn't done as much background note-taking on this one.
I was very busy today.
He was, as in he hasn't done any, so he's just going to chime in as we go.
I didn't even look at Facebook until... What time did I get home?
I don't know, 4:45.
No, I mean...
You did, 4:45.
No. From dropping Nevi off.
Like 7?
That's the first time I looked at Facebook.
Wow, that's a long time.
Just saying.
Okay, that's fine. It's okay. It'll add pizzazz to have you on the fly. So like I said, this topic came from was I've been thinking about it a lot lately. not so much like, oh, this isn't what I expected, but more of like, well, I guess it is kind of what I was thinking, just not with that weird, like, annoyed tone.
Do you want to do ours first?
Do what first?
Should we do ours first?
Yeah, that's where we're starting. Well, because I kind of broke it up into a couple different sections. Like the first one is who your child will be, expectation versus reality.
Okay.
So that's where this all stems from. Our 2-year-old is the most independent 2-year-old you will probably ever meet in your entire life.
She's kind of a little son of a bitch.
No.
She's a little smart ass.
I want everyone to understand how independent we're talking. Example.
She does her own taxes.
Funny, but no. Example. She had a little scratch on her arm. So she insisted on a boo-boo bandage. So I gave her one. And now she like points it and says, hi, boo-boo, boo-boo bandage. She kisses her own boo-boos. I'm like, can mommy kiss it? And she'll let me, but not before she does it first. So that's how independent our girl is. Like, it's just who she is. And
she's finally learned the word help. That's
she
been
will.
Great.
We've taught her how to ask. That's with a lot of help from us. She's learned to ask for help. But, I mean, and she won't even sit with you. Very, very rarely will she want to, like, cuddle.
And if she's sitting with you, it's not sitting with you. She's usually sprawled sideways, like, spread out, doing something silly. Like, and then that'll last, like, 10 seconds, and then...
Like, her version of, like, physical contact and, like, is she'll come up, like, if you're sitting on the couch, she'll come over to the couch and, like, lean against your leg.
Like fawns.
Yeah. Or... Like, occasionally lately, she's wanted to come and sit with me at the end of my workday and color. Like, I'll give her a crayon, and she, like, scribbles on my old notepads. And she'll sit with me for that. But, like, she's not a snuggler. And that is something I expected. Like, when you think of little kids...
Even when she's sick.
Yeah, even when she's sick. I mean...
She wants nothing to do with you when she's sick.
And even if she wakes up in the middle of the night and she's sick, she'll want to she'll want you for, like, 2 minutes. And then she goes, bye-bye, bye-bye. And that means, okay, put me back in my crib. I got to work this out on my own.
Can we say the new cute thing she's been doing, though?
What?
Kiss, kiss.
That is really cute.
It's so cute. She doesn't say, like, kiss. It's like if she has her little stuffed animal, she'll go, kiss, kiss.
It's so cute.
And, like, she came up to me the other day and, like, kissed me on the shoulder. It's like, Daddy, kiss, kiss. It's so cute. It reminds me of probably something from South Park or something stupid.
But that was, like, it could be because the last toddler I was around was my niece, Lily, and she was really cuddly. Like, she would come and sit on my lap and, like, play with my necklaces, and she would want to look at pictures on my phone. And, I mean, it could be just the fact that I was a little more novel to her all the time because I'm not her mom. But I had this expectation that my child would want to, like, be on me all the time. You always hear about, like, oh, Velcro baby. Oh, God, get off of me. Oh, stop touching me. Oh, I just want to, like, I don't want to hold them all the time. She is not that child. Like,
sometimes you can sit next to her and watch TV.
Yeah.
Extended. That's about it. That's a good one.
So that's where this whole topic came out of. And some of the other things that came up were, like, who they'll be personality as they grow older. Like, maybe you have a girl and you're thinking, oh, she's going to be just like me and I'm girly and it's going to be great. We're going to do each other's nails. Nope. And then you end up with the complete opposite of a child. And that happens sometimes, and you just have to kind of roll with it. And you have to learn to say, this is who they are. I need to be the parent for who that child is.
Yeah, and not Sarah is trying to change her into a left-handed person.
I am not.
I'm just kidding.
She uses both right now still.
You tell yourself that.
The jury's out. She brushes her teeth with her left hand.
That's because you hold her.
No. She'll put it in her right hand, and then she tries and she doesn't like it to do it with her right hand, so she switches to the left. You leave me alone. So,
You just want her to live a life of graphite all over her palm.
I mean, it's a tough life, but anytime I meet someone else who's left-handed, I'm like, oh, me too. And it's like a little secret club.
There's some nature outside.
Is there some deer?
Nope. Look.
I can't, honey. Oh, it's a skunk. It's the neighborhood skunk.
He lives around here somewhere.
His tail is so white.
Every now and then, he or she sprays something, and we'll go out in the morning and we're like, oh, the skunk didn't like the dog.
They're so funny when they run. Bye, skunk.
Sorry, we live in a town that's just filled with nature. And
it really is a magical little place we live.
I haven't seen the deer in a while.
I saw one the other day.
Oh, okay.
They're still here. Don't worry.
Okay. Well, some of the neighboring towns.
So more on learning, like, who your kids are and not trying to, like, change them. Sometimes kids can be little assholes. Mm-hmm. Not even trying to be, like, older kids. And you realize, ouch, ow, that hurts. But also, I have to be the one to
asshole them right back.
Well, that, but no.
No, I mean to
like smooth those edges and teach them, like, you need to be a good person. Like, and something I've always felt.
You got to be in a dick right now.
Well, they push your buttons the most because they know they can. Like, that's a huge thing with kids. Like, you're their safe space. That's why toddlers and young kids and even older kids are 80 times worse when their mom or dad's in the room compared to when they're with grandma and grandpa or at school. It's because they know they can. They're testing their limits and their boundaries, and they know that no matter what they do, you're not going to, like, kick them to the curb. I mean, some people may, but
good people won't.
People who listen to this podcast, I hope, are not those people. So, a funny little quote that popped up in the comments was, parenting a tiny, unreasonable mini self is enraging sometimes. I agree. It's like the more they're like you, all the things that, all your worst qualities come out in your kids sometimes.
They're amplified.
What?
They do get amplified.
They do.
Because the kid has no filter.
Right.
And they're also learning to maneuver those things.
Exactly.
Yep.
So those are just a few of the who your child will be. And then I also noted how you parent the children. So you've established who your kid is. Now what do you do with them? This was my favorite quote someone posted from that was, I was a perfect parent before I had kids. I'm like, I mean, it's the truth. Like, everyone thinks that. Oh, when I have kids, I'll do this. Oh, when I have kids, they won't do that. Oh, it's all like, well, I don't understand why people do that. Like I don't understand why you can't go out ever because your kid has to go to sleep. Because that kid is a little
nightmare if they don't get their sleep.
They're just crazy and they don't sit still and they don't listen. They have to go to bed on time. That's why. That's just a personal example of that. So a few things people have learned about that is Facebook parenting. Like, the shit most people put on Facebook is just a bunch of bullshit. It's only the highlights. Remember, don't compare your everyday to someone else's highlight reel, because I personally like to not do that, because what's the point? And maybe it's because I work from home and I don't get out enough that I like my life on Facebook. No, I don't put Sydney cried every 10 minutes this morning because I don't know why. I don't share that stuff, but I try to keep it pretty even keeled on the good, the bad, the ugly.
We call those the mommy martyr.
What?
The mommy martyr.
Oh, and all they post is bad things?
Yeah, when all they post is like, oh, kids terrible today, woe is me.
But we're talking about people who all you see is the really, really good stuff.
I
love my kids. Oh, we're so great. Oh, I love this. Oh, summer is awesome. We love swimming.
I've met your kids and they are not great.
Everything's amazing. Look at our amazing vacation. What you're not seeing is dad's drunk and off somewhere because he's like, I'm not dealing with this shit anymore. Mom's frazzled and hating life because she's tracing around all these small people on the beach trying to slather sunscreen on them. There's no relaxing. That is a family trip. That is not a vacation. There's a big difference. Don't get me started on that. You can't call it a vacation if there's children involved and they're under the age of like 15 because it's work. It's like you uproot your everyday routine and you do it near a beach. Like,
then you have to apply sunscreen every 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's not relaxing at all. So let's organize a kids-free vacation for all of our listeners, because really, you all need one. What else? Oh, this was a good one. Something, a commenter. Is that the right word?
Sure.
Okay. Noted was
submission.
Compromising discipline with the other parent. Like, if you're not on the same page with your co-parent, that turns into a big, ugly mess. Like, when you have to... If everyone's not parenting on the same page, like, that can be very challenging and also really hard to deal with.
You think that'd be a conversation they'd have before they have a kid?
They said that. So I think it may have been a situation where these were children with someone they're not with anymore. So that was also a factor. Because she said hindsight, I know. But that, I mean, even with us, I mean, we're pretty solid, but there's still things we disagree on when it comes to the kids and parenting them and disciplining them. And I mean, discipline's not a huge thing.
Yeah, mine's mostly like safety stuff.
Yours mostly?
Yeah, that's the truth.
If Luke could bubble wrap our home,
I would.
He would. He really would.
Don't put shit in walkways. I'm saying that to the world, not you.
Don't put shit anywhere ever because someone might trip. Correct?
No, just don't put it where somebody walks a lot. Footpaths, if you will.
This was an interesting one. Someone said they didn't realize before they had kids their decision not to do like Santa and the Easter Bunny and the Tooth Fairy with their kids, like how much that would bother other people that they don't do those. Some people don't like to lie to their kids. Luke's making a face, like an almost sad face.
It's one of those things where I'm like...
It makes sense to me.
If I was living outside of our culture, I'd be like, what's this weird shit you tell your kids? But then now it's like part of our culture, so I'm like, but it's fun and it's part of the season, and I can see both sides. I personally don't want to do that, but like... You
don't want to do what?
I wouldn't want to take the holiday traditions
I see.
out. I don't know. The Easter Bunny can kind of go fuck itself. That's kind of silly.
Well, yeah, we did Easter baskets this year only because I don't know. It was literally 2 days before Easter, and I'm like, oh, we have to do Easter this year. We don't go to church. I feel like it's a stretch anyway. The whole bunny and the eggs, but it's Jesus, zombie Jesus. Anyway.
I can actually explain it to you, but I'm not going to do it on air so as not to offend people.
Okay. But point being, we don't have to do Easter. I don't have any real connect. My grandma really liked Easter, but I don't know. That's a tough one because there's certain aspects that I do feel really strongly about. Like, I really do love Christmas. But, I mean, Santa, I guess it's not going to be until Sydney's a little bit older that
She still hates Santa, so.
She hates Santa.
Should we just start out with, it's not real.
She loved the Easter Bunny, though.
Yeah.
She wanted to live with him forever. Like, seriously. She's like, Mom, you can go now.
Wonder if that guy can babysit.
Can you bring the suit?
Bring the costume.
Oh, we'll get there. That's one of our things we're going to talk about. Babysitters.
Oh, I was going to say, did the parents discover they were furries?
No. Okay, so something else that came up a few different times was comparing your kids to other kids developmentally, socially, all of those things. Fight Club?
We won't get
What?
Fight Club. Like pitting your children against each other. 2 toddlers enter. 1 leaves.
That was a reoccurring thing a lot of people commented on, which especially it comes up a little bit more with parents with special needs kids. Like that's a really big challenge for them, which I cannot even begin to understand, because it's a different ball game, and you have to kind of reset your mindset on expectations. I bet that they talked about, there was a handful of parents with special needs kids that commented, and I appreciate their candor, that victories are very different with kids like that, because it might be as small as them completely melting down and having a fit and having to restrain them. And not only that, but you as a parent, maybe that's something you didn't expect to have to do. But on top of that, then once the episode has ended, they like come crying and want to hug, and like that turns into your victory, that, okay, I'm doing something right. Even though they just lashed out at me for the past 20, 30 minutes, they broke down and now they're coming to me. So that it's just a completely different ballgame.
I can't even imagine.
I know. So you all with special needs kids, you're doing a great job, because we can't even, I don't want to comment on it too much, because I don't even know, except from stories and knowing you all. So keep up the good work. And your kids, they'll be better people for it when they're adults, that's for sure. What else? There's so much. Sleep deprivation was a reoccurring theme as well. I understand why people decide to have kids, because it does get like foggy after you're a couple years post horrible sleep deprivation. But man, I
can't remember the last time I slept like even when you get to sleep in.
Well, right.
You still wake up every like 15 minutes because you're either worried about the kid,
or you just forget. You're like, oh, I gotta get up. Oh wait, no, I don't.
Or like the kids are loud, and like even no matter how big your house is, like you're gonna hear something and you'll be like, oh, do I need to get up?
It's funny. I think about more of the like 4 hours in the past 24 type of sleep deprivation. More like how bad that was. Like nowadays, it's like, oh, I'm just always tired. It's not the same as sleep deprivation.
Yeah, the cluster feeding was tough.
It was awful. Well, just when they're new and they don't know, sometimes they have their nights and their days mixed up, and that can be real rough if they're asleep all day.
Luckily, we never had that real bad with Sydney.
Yeah, she was.
None of my kids had that.
She was on track pretty quick, but I know that's something that is very real and happens, and especially when you're going through the sleep deprivation and maybe you didn't feel the warm fuzzies right away for your kid. There's so many emotions all at once. And if you were expecting that and then it doesn't happen, that's like a whole other thing, because it's like, wait, what's wrong with me? Why don't I feel this instant connection to this tiny little human that I can't figure out what's wrong with them, but I'm supposed to be the one that knows how to fix it?
They just cry.
I mean, they do. It's a fact. But
it's hard to get used to.
It is. I would shake every time Sydney would cry when she was a newborn. It was awful. Like, yeah, it would make my whole body quiver.
She had some lungs.
Trying to see. Pardon me while I check my notes. I wonder if they can hear the crickets. We have crickets.
There are literal crickets.
Yeah, outside. One of our contributors said, before becoming a mom, I had time for trashy reality TV.
That's the truth. Like, not that, but I watched a lot of TV. It's just your spare time exists. And now it's like, if you have a typical, like, 8 to 4, 9 to 5 job, like, most of your waking hours are spent at work. So you feel like you have to give all the rest of your time to your kids. And then when they go to bed, you get, like, maybe an hour. So you have to be real selective about your TV or your hobbies or whatever.
You really have to. It trims the fat, though, the way I look at it. Or
you do what I do, and you're just like, I'll stay up an extra hour so I can do both.
Well, that's like the age-old debate of parenthood. Go to bed and be well-rested, or stay up for, like, 2 extra hours and have, like, some time to yourself to do something you just want to do. And it usually, I mean, I try to keep it balanced, but you always stay up.
I can't go to bed early.
You can't go to sleep before like 11 anyway.
Yeah, I'm incapable. Unless I'm like dead to the world, tired.
I went to sleep so fast last night. It was amazing. Okay.
I'm also very tired right now at this very moment.
I can tell.
I haven't slept a whole lot this week.
Well,
it wasn't to do with the kid. It was to do
hockey.
With late hockey game.
Yeah.
Because if you run an adult league, hey, let's make the games start at like 10:30. Smart.
So, something that came up that we're starting to deal with a teeny tiny bit is not realizing how much social media would play a factor in their kids' lives. As in, like, they want their own cell phone earlier and earlier ages. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that Snapchat. I don't even know what that is.
We touched on that a couple.
We have.
Episodes ago.
Yeah.
Well, we have our philosophy on that is, like, do training wheels.
Right.
See if they're...
People with kids that age, social media, it was not what it is today when their kids were born. So that kind of evolved as their children were growing up. So now it's like they don't have a yardstick for, like, what's appropriate. And this specific person, they err on the side of, no, you're waiting, which I respect that because you know your kids, and kids grow up too fast because of that stuff.
That's very true.
You know? Like, let them be kids a little while longer. Like, my 7-year-old niece gave up all of her Doc McStuffin stuff before she turned 7 to our daughter. She was 6 when she gave away. She was too old for Doc McStuffins when she was 6 years old.
I don't know enough about...
I don't either.
This particular doctor to make an opinion on what age they should be given up.
I mean, maybe it's a preschool show, but I'm like, it's a little kid show, and she's a little kid, and she's like, no, I'm too old
Sesame
for this.
Street till I was like...
We catch Nevi watching it all the time.
We watch it.
I don't think... Well, we have to. We have no choice.
Yeah, no, but we have our favorite episodes and such.
We do. I sing all the... Murray, man. Murray's my fave. He will stop Sydney in her tracks to turn around and watch Murray.
And he says peace, and she goes, peace.
But yeah, the social media phones, like, that's a rough one. And also how different school is now compared to at least how it felt like when we were going through it. Or even kids before we had kids. Like, it feels like school is nothing but tests and homework. And more tests.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's just the way funding works now. And there's no way there's no way to stop it. It's kind of silly. I mean, I think it should be like, what's your population? Cool. Here's the X amount of funding that you get due to your population. Like school population. So, but you have, like, if they don't do well on their tests, they have to, you don't get as many boxes of crayons, and it's really sad.
Right.
Did you mention the homework?
Yeah.
Like, the kids have homework in, like, kindergarten and first grade. I never had homework until 3rd or 4th grade. And it was like, we thought it would be fun. And it was like, do these 10 math problems.
Or it's like a worksheet.
Yeah.
Here, read this social studies passage and answer some questions on it. And I mean, our 11-year-old, it's kind of like, I feel like 4th grade had more than 5th grade, but 5th grade, it was still kind of a lot.
4th grade, though, they got new textbooks. They did a new textbook company. And I think they were kind of feeling their way through it.
Right.
Because then 5th grade, they used the same, especially for math. They used the same one, and they did a lot less work.
Yeah. I think she did a lot more of it at school, too.
And she felt more confident, too.
Yeah. She was doing
better. She felt less pressure.
But I know a lot of schools, though, have started kicking out their homework and just swapping it out for, like, with younger kids, read with them. With older kids, have, like, quiet reading time. I'm like, we do that anyway. Can she just get rid of her homework, too, please? Here's looking at you, Yellow Springs, Exempted Village.
I like her yellow. I like her reading time after work or school, where they have to read and stuff
and do the response. Yeah,
because her reading levels got way up. Her state test scores. I know we were just talking about state testing, but were like math not so good, but the reading and science were like off the charts, which was awesome.
I'm just reviewing comments right now to see if I'm missing anything we want to talk about.
Let me know if I need to pause.
Well, you could just vamp for them.
My brain is not firing on all cylinders right now. So mostly I'd just be illustrating everything our cat's doing. We let our cat come out in the sunroom because she was pawing at the door too much. So she's spastically looking out all the windows.
Here's the difference in our emotions towards the cat these days. I would have just closed the giant door.
I'm not closing that door.
Last time it's not locked.
Last time anyone closed that door, you got locked out.
Because I locked the door.
Oh, can I tell you something funny? I was so happy that
I'm listening.
That the key was on the hook.
Because you were afraid it was in my bag?
Well, I thought you were going to stick it, like, because sometimes you'll just stick it somewhere, and I'm always like, put it on the hook. It's where it goes. And like, I was dreading having to be like, well, if you put it on the hook, but now it's like,
no,
it was even on the hook, and I forgot. So it was just trying to get out the door.
I do that like 3 times a week, but I usually don't lock the door because I'm just like taking Sydney to the sitter. Although I have been locking it with Nevi here by herself.
Yeah.
So, but still, it was literally like the second it closed, I was like, no.
We haven't locked ourselves out in like 2 years, so.
We haven't done it once in this house, have we? Yeah, we have. You have. The day of her baby shower. That was when that happened. Yeah, because Josie and Nevi were both here. And you had to put one of them through the window.
All right.
Anyway.
You make it sound like I choke slammed them through the window.
Like, he had to lift them up. I'm trying to... So, something else you don't think about is finding childcare. And
son of a bitch.
That is our life. Because we're kind of social people. At least we used to be. So we have people who like us and want to see us.
We are still in that phase of people are nice and still invite us, even though we probably can't go. But right. I know the writing on the wall is that eventually they just stop inviting you because they're like, they won't be able to come anyway.
Right.
Which, don't do that. Don't do that, people. Always include them.
Yeah, it makes you feel less invisible as a parent if you're still invited, even though it's probably a good chance you can't come. And most of our friends still invite.
Yeah,
it's just, it gets hard. And the childcare thing, like, if we don't have a whole lot of extra money to pay for, like, finding a like, person we don't know, so we do lean on our family, and we appreciate the hell out of that. Let me just start with that. But since we don't pay them, like...
We don't expect them to go out of their way.
Right. So it's not always a guarantee. And I'm like, well, we just asked this one, so we can't ask them again. We need to tap this person. And they have lives. So childcare is definite. And it's twofold. It's like finding people who are available. And if it's not family, finding people you trust. Like,
oh, yeah, that's the worst.
We've gotten really lucky with this part-time sitter that Sydney goes to. I really took a chance because here's how I found this lovely young woman. Our town has a virtual yard sale page, and she lives one town over, and she posted, I'm looking to bring additional children into my home for in-home daycare. You know, I have a 2-year-old and a 4-month-old. I used to be a nanny, so she has experience. And I'm like, I looked at her Facebook page, because that's what you do.
Yep.
I'm like, she looked normal. I'm like, okay, this could work out. And, I mean, I don't know this girl at all, besides that her mom works in town where we live. But I don't know her. So it was a big chance, and I think about that a lot. I'm like, oh, is that the right decision? But it's working out really well.
So far, so good.
She doesn't even cry anymore when we drop her off.
I know one of the times, didn't you say she was downright happy to be there?
She was. She was like, bye. And I'm like, bye, honey. You don't need me anymore. You're so independent. Yeah, and she would cry and fuss and carry on, and the minute I would leave, she would be fine. So, I mean, it's a gamble, and it's hard to find ones you like, and then keeping them, like, eventually, like, this sitter, she might be like, oh, I need to go back to work. This is too much. Every time I go over there, I'm like, how are you doing? Because that's got to be really hard.
Yeah, it's a little easier when you get paid for it, though.
That's true.
Like, imagine, like, Sydney's can be a little pain in the ass, but if I was making money off of her, it'd be a little more tolerable.
She really likes her. I mean, at least from my, like, interaction with the sitter enjoys our child.
She's a good kid.
So,
what is wrong with our cat?
Our cat is just smelling everything.
I know. She's like, there's a bag over here. Oh.
So another thing, it kind of ties into finding childcare and trying to get a sitter so you can be social, is finding, like, your support system and, like, other families with kids around the same age. That can be a challenge and kind of like a learning curve to that in and of itself. We haven't really, like, it's tricky for us because where we live, we don't necessarily know anyone that lives here. Like, we have some acquaintances, I would say, at this point, from Nevi being in the school and making friends and, like, people who live on our street. But, like, we're not very good at making adult friends.
No. I'm, like, good with the friends I have. I'm like, I don't need any more.
Well, but therein lies the problem because no one lives super close. Like, no one's that far, but...
And they're friends with children. They're all young enough to where they're like, I don't want any more of you sticking rugrats in my house.
Well, no, I actually talked recently with my girlfriends that have going to be a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old. And we talked about how we need to be better about just, like, asking each other for help, because they would be more than happy to watch Sydney for us. But I'm always like, oh, they have their own kids. They have so much going on. I don't want to, like, burden them with this. But we all need to we agreed, like, everyone needs to get over that. And we just take turns. Like, okay, you guys need a sitter this night. Great. We'll come out. And then next time we need a night out, you're going to watch our kid. And you trade off. And that was actually a comment that someone made about that was something their expectation and reality did not meet up. Was they kind of knew, like, their relationship with kids, that side of things wasn't as hard for them, but the loneliness and the isolation that comes with having small children sometimes, that took them a long time to adjust with and to find their people. So I think we're still trying to find our people. Like, we have great friends, but we don't see them enough. We need to change that. Friends, if you're listening, come hang out with us. We don't
ignore you on purpose.
We don't. We just are strict bedtime people. That's part of the isolation for us. What are you doing, hon? He's doing stuff on the computer.
The Facebook page.
Oh.
Because it's a bigger screen, except we're at, like, the brink of the Wi-Fi's range.
It's Wi-Fi-ing.
Which is stupid because the extender's, like, right there. It doesn't matter.
So, yeah, the support system thing is huge, which also ties into another common theme that came up, which was mental health issues that you don't really plan on before you have kids. Like, no one goes into it going, well, I'm going to have horrible postpartum depression or anxiety for the rest of my life because of this person I'm creating. Not really. You don't, as much as I'd like to pretend that it's a lot more prevalent and talked about, it's still, like, you can't prepare for that. You just can't. And sometimes some people who mention things, they had their children when they were a lot younger. Like, their kids are a little bit older at this point, and it wasn't talked about as much back then. So they really, like, were not expecting it at all, and then they get completely blindsided by the depression and not connecting right away, and that's a big deal. So if you're in that boat, You made it through, hopefully, or you're still muddling through. It's okay. No one is perfect. Don't look on Facebook too much because people lie.
That disconnect is tough. And is there times where you're like, I'm not, maybe it was different because I was very young.
Well, I mean, Facebook didn't exist.
Outside of that, but there's times where you're hanging in a group and you're all just like, you're all children. Like you sometimes you just can't connect to people who don't have kids.
Oh, that.
And it's not like they're bad for not having kids or anything, but sometimes you just like, you feel different, and it's almost, sometimes you feel like, are they judging me? Mm-hmm. Or, it's, I don't know, like an anxiety or something that pops up about like, I don't know, social situations are weird.
It's true though, because it's the whole thing where it's hard to relate to people when you're not going through the same life experiences. Like that's a really good one, actually. Like you don't expect that going into it, that like it'll make friendships with people without kids harder. And
you have to work harder.
But you have to put the work in to actually see them logistically. But I'm saying like just those social interactions. Most people that I have, most friends I have that don't have kids, it's not really a problem. But I can see some people that could definitely...
Yeah. And some people with kids, there's like an unspoken wavelength of like... It's even stuff like, hey, you want to come out tonight? And you're just like, dude, tired. And you're like, totally get it.
Right.
And that's that. But then some of the people without kids, hey, you want to come out tonight? Dude, tired. Don't be a pussy. Come out. And you're like, I'm going to get woken up by a happy little kid who doesn't give a shit about how much I drank last night. So I'm going to get drunk in my own house. Quietly. Amongst family.
Someone I don't know commented. There must be someone you know.
Yes.
This is live. Like this was like 2 minutes ago.
Okay, yeah.
You just need to read this one.
This is the other fantasy football league.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You want to read it?
Sure. I never in a million years thought I would have to spoon runny poop into little jars to have my kids tested for parasites. Just to find out 2 weeks later that I also have to pay $750 to do that.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
You do go on some little adventures.
No one talked about that, like health stuff.
I have a funny story.
Okay.
When I was 10, me and my best friend would like every weekend, it's like, you come to my house or am I coming to your house, play video games, whatever. He had a stream that went next to his house. I had a stream that went across the street to my house, and like we would just go play in it and stuff. And I don't know what happened, but something was odd, so he had to get tested for parasites. And one of the times I was at his house, his mom's like, okay, I'm going to take you home. He's got a doctor's appointment. And then I saw the jar.
Oh, God.
And I was like, what's that for? He's like, I have to poop in a jar. And like, he was so proud of it. I'm like, how are you even going to do that? And he's like, I don't know, I guess. Because we were like, do you do it right in the jar? Do you do it in the toilet and then scoop it out?
Oh.
But I think it was like you had to do it in the jar so it didn't get any contaminants from the toilet.
You should have done it into a bowl.
It's like a medical.
Yeah, but was it like tiny?
It was like, probably like that.
Like a pint glass?
Think like a mason jar.
Oh, okay.
But I still remember he came out and he's like, check it out. Like,
oh, that's so gross.
There was this turd in a jar. And I'm sure his mom would love to get on here and be like, oh my God. Never thought that my kid would be showing his best friend the turd that he just pooped into a jar to get tested for parasites. He had parasites. It was from playing in the creek. We accidentally drank the water. I did not get them.
Gross.
Somehow he did.
Blah, blah, blah. Ugh, heebie-jeebies. Ugh. I don't know. There wasn't a lot of poop talk on this, but I never thought about how much changing diapers would become second nature. Like, I can do it in the dark. If she wakes up in the middle of the night, I don't turn the lights on. That shit's all in the dark.
And eventually we figure out when to size up diapers. Not wait until that poop shoots out the back of it in the car.
That's very true.
Hadn't happened in a while.
It
That's
hasn't.
good.
Well, we've actually been putting her in one size up for car rides. Her nighttime diapers.
Parent pro tip.
Size them up for nights.
When you're in the car, one size up.
But also, she's just been leaking a lot with wetness out and about in her size 5s. So we were like, hey, we use 6s at night. We're just going to put her in 6s when we're going to be running errands. And no more leaks. So that's good. But I'm trying to think if there's any other funny poop things.
There's none in these comments.
There's no funny poop things?
No.
Okay.
That's the difference between men and women, though. The women, well, with the exception of one, the women's answers are mostly like emotional and
right. Well, I mean, that's not true. There's 2 guys that had some pretty emotional posts, and I really appreciate you dads who did chime in, because I was like, these are great, but there's no dudes.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
But the youths of the neighborhood are lurking about.
The children are out. I'm surprised they haven't pounded on the door going, where's Nabby?
The neighbor I saw when I was locked out was like, where's Nevi? Like, isn't she in the house? I'm like, oh no, that's why I can't get in. It was funny.
She's being a dick and she won't unlock the door.
No, she would never do that.
Remember back in the beginning where I said sometimes you have to tell your kid, hey, you're being kind of a dick. Don't lock your parents out.
She would never do that. She's so good. She really is. She's a good kid. So what else?
You didn't do this one.
I can't see what you're pointing at there, darling.
It's one of the man ones.
Well, I know. I mean,
you don't have to do the whole thing.
Well, I don't know which one you're talking about. One above the poop one or 2?
2 above.
I know. That one's really long and very thoughtful.
I just think the first couple lines are very good.
Well, you can read them if you want.
Biggest surprise for me was the capacity for emotion. I was afraid before she was born that I wouldn't automatically connect. I have the computer dim.
He does.
Because it's on the side, and if I have it brightened up, one of my eyes goes haywire because it's in my peripheral. So I turned it way down, so I'm doing my best to read it. I guess I can turn it up while I read it. Connect automatically like they say you do, as I'd never been a big quote-unquote kid person. Not only was that completely unfounded, but it's extended so much further. I have this crazy love and pride that is beyond description. Plus, I find myself tearing up at random shit like a song or a TV show or anything that reminds me of how lucky I am to have her and how short this is all going to seem and how much is already done. And the same day, I'll have to watch her go.
I like that part. The whole about how quick everything goes. I think about that a lot.
And then it talks about the mushiness and the everything you're proud of. I totally relate to that.
And also, not even being embarrassed about that. Being no, not embarrassed.
Yeah,
that I'm emotional.
Go, fuck yourself. I made that.
Right.
I'm be proud of it.
I think about that a lot. I'm like, we made that. Ha
the whole thing about tiny little things. You're like, oh my god. There was one thing a couple weeks ago. I think you were either taking a nap or you left or something.
I left. I went out for a pack of smokes.
I gotta tell you something funny after this. But Sydney looks at me and she goes, "Where, Mama?"
I was in the shower.
Oh, that's it. And it was so cute.
You told me that, and I cried. I literally teared up. I was like,
it was just cute.
It was in the morning one day before work, and I was showering.
And I like when she draws and stuff, and I don't know. Their life is like a giant pile of shit squeezed squeezed between very tiny and futile, or tiny and fleeting special moments.
That's true.
And so I hold on to the special moments a little harder than most people, so I can absolutely relate.
Well, and he talks about too, respecting his wife, seeing her be a mom, and just really how you get through those hard times that cultures and grows your relationship with that person because you bond over those things, those really hard times with the kids and figuring things out. And that just makes your relationship even better with your partner. And also, learning patience and kindness. I was like, I will say I am known for my lack of patience. It's getting better though. Like, honestly, some days I don't get frustrated at all, even when she's the same kid every day. Like, she has her really bad days and her really amazing days, but most of the time she's pretty even keeled. Like, she's consistently like a mix of the two extremes. And I just am like, you're only been doing this for 2 years. Like, you're very new at life. And you have to just remember that fact all the time. Like you always say, whatever they're doing at that moment is the most important thing they've ever done.
Yeah. So I usually try to let it ride, unless it's like, if you're trying to do a somersault on the changing table, that's a no.
Yeah.
Hard no on that one.
Right.
But other shit, when she starts like today, she was sitting on the couch, coloring in a notebook. She would draw a few lines and go, 1, 2, 3. And then she would throw her crayon off the couch. She would climb down, retrieve the crayon, climb back up, get into the same position, draw a couple more lines, repeat. But I was like, and I tried to help her, and it was like I messed up her rhythm, and she just wanted to do it how she was doing. Just shit like that, where you're like, little weirdo. Just be patient and let her do her science experiment, whatever goals. I'm not sure what her hypothesis was, but I'm sure it was something important.
Checking my notes. Oh, something that all of this got me thinking about was, and it might make me realize I was a shitty person before I had Sydney even. I care more about the environment and politics now than I ever have in my entire life. And it could be because we're at such a horrible turning point in both of those things in the world. But I think it's a factor is also that, like, this is, like, we're shaping the world that our children are going to inherit. And I feel like it's a shit
It's
storm.
funny you say that, because I've always kind of been, like, in the middle. But I definitely felt a personal shift politically after my first kid, because I started seeing that thing like normally you're just like, I don't go to school anymore. What the fuck do I care about taxes? And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, right, kids.
Right.
There are more, like, I'm not the last one.
Right.
So it makes you care more about that. It makes you care more about, like, the cleanliness of the world. Mm-hmm. And, like, you wouldn't throw trash and shit around your own house because your family lives in it. And, like, if you look at the world as, like, just this giant family, then maybe you want to keep it a little cleaner, a little tidy.
Well, and
just,
I mean,
like, parks and stuff like that too. It's so, like, it's free entertainment. Libraries are like free internet, free books, and free education and stuff like that. And there's a lot of people who are like, do away with it. It's a waste of money. Socialism. Yeah. And you're like, shut up, you dick.
Yeah, do it the right way.
Oh, like Jim Jeffries?
Yeah.
You dick. And shit, I had another thought about that. Oh, I think also because I've had nothing but girls has definitely had an effect on the way I think politically too, because, like, you don't really notice there are some opportunities, and you see how girls are marketed to. Mm-hmm. And it's changed for the better a lot in the past couple of years, and it's funny that people are still fighting it, and I'm like, why?
Right.
If your girl wants to be a princess, awesome.
Right.
If your girl wants to be a scientist, awesome. But let's not make toys that say, oh, the girl toys are princesses and the boy toys are scientists. Like, it's okay for them to want to be either one.
If your boy wants to be a princess, that's okay too.
They do get all the starring roles in the Disney movies. So
there is that, I guess.
And you don't see many people looking for Prince Charming at Disney. They're all looking for goddamn Cinderella and Snow White.
In, like, 1950, now they're looking for Moana and...
What was that thing we're looking at?
What are the other ones? Merida and
there was one
Tangled and Frozen. That's the one.
At my work, they did this princess thing, and they listed, like, here's all the princesses that are going to be there if you can find pictures of them. And I was like, what is this one? I don't even know what that is.
Was it Moana?
No, it was a TV show one.
Oh, you told me about this.
Yeah, I had no idea. I was very out of touch with the princesses. Point being...
Avondale. Something of Avondale, wasn't it?
I don't
Sophia
know.
the First?
I don't know. But point being, like, it made me rethink the way I thought about things. Mm-hmm. Because it's you realize that there's this other little person, and my choices have a huge effect on this child, and then it makes you think, like, oh, there's other kids too. Mm-hmm. So it makes you really want to, like, care about more issues that you maybe didn't give any credence to. Like, I didn't give a shit about parks or anything when I was 18-year-old little doofus. I didn't care about schools. I didn't care about women's rights or anything like that. And then, like, all of a sudden, I'm like, oh shit, this matters.
I made a woman.
Yeah, then I made two more.
Oops again. God damn it, can I have a boy just once? Just kidding.
Yeah. Well, Sydney, the way she's going, I think I'm going to get my little athlete finally.
Maybe.
Because...
we've thought about
I should say
tumbling.
My little team sports athlete.
Yeah.
Because that kid, she's already kicking a soccer ball around, and it's freaking hilarious.
She goes, kick.
I don't think she really knows what she's doing.
She does. She says kick.
I mean, like, she doesn't get why we think it's so cool.
Who's here?
They're probably just checking the neighbor's house.
Oh, I don't like it when they stop by our house. It creeps me out. Anyway.
They're getting ready for a drive-by in their Prius.
A drive-by fruiting. That was a Mrs. Doubtfire reference. If anyone caught that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I don't have much to add. I think that last one was pretty good to end on. Just the emotional impact it has on you. It's kind of like you really don't understand the...
Well, because he talked about that. He said he never bought it when parents would be like, oh, it's so worth it. And he didn't understand it because he couldn't. And it's true, and it's cliche, but it's so true. And even me, I've been step parenting longer than I've been biological parenting, whatever you want to call it. And it is like...
it's different.
It's different. Like, I do love both of my stepdaughters dearly, but I didn't quite get it fully. I don't
think you had the, like, protective reaction as you did
right
naturally with a child that's biologically yours.
Right. But now that Sydney is in the picture, like, I'm saying
you as a person, not anyone else who, like, adopts or something.
Right. And it's been magnified.
Right.
Because of that. And I get really angry about stuff. Mostly not, I'm not speaking from personal experience, but, like, when I read about, like, bad moms, negligent parents in general, I get very, very emotionally charged about those things because it makes me really mad. So we'll just leave it at that.
That reminds me of a story. When my oldest was in kindergarten, they made books. And, like, they had to, like, color them and print them out and staple them together. And she read it to me. And I was, like, crying my eyes out as she was reading it to me. And I was just like, this kid can read. I was wiping your ass, like, 2 or 3 years ago. Like, what the hell? And that's the thing where, like, you never expect that. Like, you expect it, like, yeah, you learn to read. It's what you're supposed to do. But then when they do it, you're like,
right.
It's a miracle.
Sydney did something this week, and I cried about it.
Something like...
in the kitchen, like, before work. I can't remember what it was. It was so cute. I don't know what it was now, but I cried. I was like, you're so big. Even though she's not. She's very tiny still.
She's tall. She's just slender.
No, I mean, she's only 2, so she's still really tiny.
I mean, compared to us.
And all her tiny humanness.
I have nothing else to talk about.
I'm so glad you're so chipperly closing out our podcast.
No, I guess I didn't say that right. I think we've exhausted the comments as well.
Well, I think this was a good thing. Again, we thank you all who chimed in. And
next week, I will have caffeine prior to the show.
Everyone is doing an amazing job. Remember that.
Except for the shitty parents you were talking about earlier.
Well, right. Except for the ones that make me emotionally charged.
Yeah.
But
don't be shitty.
Those of you who contributed, you're all doing a great job. And those of you who maybe saw the post but were like, oh, I don't really know what to say. Hopefully some of this resonated with you. And
you can go to our Facebook page.
You can.
At, what is it?
He Said, She Said podcast.
I can't remember. I can never remember what the...
I know. I should have changed it to say what our iTunes name is, but I never did. Because
you can just go,
this is a free podcast. We don't use ads. So,
yeah.
You guys...
Unless we start doing it.
Unless everyone tells two friends who tells two friends. Right. I don't feel like anyone's doing that.
Then we'll start making money and getting the khakis and the...
So, next week...
Dockers. No.
What?
Basketball.
I was like,
it's in there.
I got it. I got you. Next week, make sure you listen in because it's going to be our wedding anniversary special. Yeah. I don't even know what that means yet, but I just made it up, so we're going to do it.
We'll figure something out.
Our 8th wedding anniversary is August 29th, so that should be fun to talk about. Maybe we'll come up with some 8-themed podcast topics.
I would say we should do like the newlywed game. But
that could end badly.
Yeah.
And we need like someone here to referee it, to ask us the questions.
Well, it's probably an internet thing, like a YouTube.
That's true. We'll figure it out. But anyway, if you have a question, a comment, general feedback, you have a complaint, you can complain to us. We don't mind. We might not talk about it on the air.
I mind.
Why?
I'm going to complain somewhere else. It's a happy podcast.
Well, anyway.
These crickets are too goddamn loud. Stop living in nature.
Send us an email, hesaidshesaiedpc@gmail.com. Maybe follow us on Instagram. We might post something. You'll have to follow along to find out.
Or we'll be tired and not.
There's a good chance it's going to be the latter. But we hope you enjoyed Sarah's side of the story with Luke kind of talking, but yawning mostly.
You heard me sniffing and swallowing my beer, too.
You put on a good second half, I'd say.
The Coke I had on the way home did not kick in.
Well, I'm sorry.
It's supposed to be pure Colombian. Fucker lied.
I do.
It was a cola.
A cola. A Coca-Cola. I did the ending and then you kept talking, so.
Oh, sorry. I hope you all enjoyed hearing both sides of this story.
Good night. Bye-bye.